Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
Over the weekend, hundreds of Libyan demonstrators protested against the government of national unity, asking for the removal of Abdulhamid Deiba as internationally recognized prime minister of the country. Demonstrators gathered in Martyrs Square, Tripoli, after the resignation of at least 3 other ministers. The protesters then marched on to the main building of the government in the center of the city. Mr. Deiba is the leader of the unified government of the formerly divided country. It came to power in 2021 through a UN-backed procedure. Due to disagreements between rival factions in 2021, planned election did not proceed. Deiba since remained at the helm. However, violence erupted last week after Prime Minister Deiba ordered the dismantling of armed groups. Demonstrators accused him of failing to restore peace and complicity in the growth of armed group power. On Saturday, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees Office organized a large-scale repatriation event for the first batch of over 2,000 Rwandan nationals to return home from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Mayor Rubabo District, Prosper Mulindwa, welcomed home the returnees, saying there is no reason for citizens to be refugees. The repatriation takes place amid heightened tensions in the DRC, where Rwandan-backed M23 rebels continue to control parts of the region. Meanwhile, International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, and United Nations Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo and PNC police officers from Goma to Kinshasa in their role as
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is on his way to the United States as relations between the two countries remain tense. President Ramaphosa departed from Pretoria's Waterkloof Air Force Base late on Sunday, embarking on a 3-day diplomatic mission to the United States. According to the South African presidency, the trip aims to recalibrate relations between the two countries amid growing tensions. Strains have emerged following the U.S. decision to expel South Africa's Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool and also grant asylum to dozens of white South African farmers, an action that sparked backlash within South Africa's political sphere. President Ramaphosa is expected to arrive Washington, D.C. later on Monday ahead of a key bilateral meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday. The highly anticipated meeting has been framed as an opportunity to reset the strategic relationship between South Africa and the U.S. Innocent Samosa is our correspondent in Johannesburg, South Africa. He joins us now for more on this. Hello, Innocent. Thank you for speaking with us.
Good evening to you, colleague, and our viewers around the world. It's good to be alongside you.
Well, what is South Africa's expectation from this meeting when it happens on Wednesday between President Ramaphosa and President Trump?
Well, a lot is expected, colleague, but from the presidency, we're told that South Africa approaches the upcoming meeting between President Ramaphosa and U.S. President Donald Trump with the aim really to repair strained diplomatic ties and also, to fostering renewed economic collaboration. Now, the bilateral relationship has been challenged by the U.S. policy shift. And this, of course, includes the suspension of aid. You would recall the issues of also around granting refugee status to white Afrikaners in an action that, of course, South Africa has really objected. But there are a bit of concerns here. Some of the objectives to consider here, Layo, is that reaffirming the bilateral relations, I would imagine that President Ramaphosa, he's seeking to reset the strategic relationship between the two nations. He has emphasized previously the issues around the mutual respect and also cooperation of, the recent challenges of the white Afrikaners. But again, on top of the agenda, I would imagine that he would take this opportunity again to speak about economic matters, economic engagement. I mean, South Africa aims to strengthen the trade ties, particularly by maintaining the benefits under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, that's AGOA. Of course, we do know again, Layo, that the lifeline of AGOA, it's really stand in the balance. But this, of course, supports the duty-free exports, which many entrepreneurs benefit from that. But also, I would imagine that addressing the controversial issues, for an example, the meeting will provide an opportunity to discuss clarity, the position on sensitive matters. For an example, this will include the issues around the issues of land reform policies and the U.S. decision to grant asylum to certain South African citizens. President Ramaphosa previously, Layo, has expressed a desire to correct, the misconception and reinforce South Africans' commitment to really, continue with, the constitutional democracy. But again, Layo, I would imagine that this meeting represent a significant step to South Africa in basically navigating complex diplomatic relations or diplomatic landscapes and reinforcing the role as a key partner on the global stage. A lot is expected, but we wait to see how this one will play out. Layo?
Indeed, in a sense. So it's a 3-day trip, and we're expecting the meeting between President Ramaphosa and President Trump to happen on Wednesday. What is on the president's schedule, for Monday and Tuesday?
Well, we were told by the spokesperson in the presidency, that is Vincent Magwenya. He told us that the president will basically go and also meet the business leadership. For an example, the likes of New York, South Africa Business Chamber, he'll be meeting with them as well. And I guess to really make them understand and tell them their role, what is expected of them, because it's not only South Africa that is dealing with this issue, but again, the business leadership, the businesses that are benefiting between the two countries have to play a part. I mean, also some of the issues, I would imagine that the global cooperation, as South Africa currently presides over the G20 discussions, discussions may also extend to global issues such as peace efforts and also, conflict zones. But this will give an opportunity to highlight the importance of collaboration, in terms of international engagement. So again, I would imagine that President Ramaphosa would want to make sure that President Trump does come for the G20 in November. And he said that if the issues between the two countries are not solved, it could very well be that we might not see President Donald Trump coming to South Africa. So I would imagine that that will be top of the agenda as well, to make sure that he rally the people around and make sure that the G20 is indeed a success. Layo?
All right, then. Thank you so much. Innocent Musa, our correspondent in Johannesburg.
Thank you so much, colleague.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has emphasized that Nigeria must continue to work on achieving national unity, adding that it's a work in progress for the sake of the country and the continent as a whole. He was speaking after witnessing the historic inauguration of Pope Leo XIV, along with other world leaders. President Tinubu described his visit to the Vatican as being consistent in the true sense of unity in diversity. Our State House correspondent Lanre Lasisi has this report.
President Bola Tinubu arriving at St. Peter's Square, the Vatican City, for the historic inauguration of Pope Leo XIV. He's led in and joins other world leaders for the event. In front of over 1,000 visitors and Catholic faithful, the Mass is observed, a ceremony of color and deep spiritual significance. Afterwards, the Pope had a private moment with President Tinubu. The President also met with former Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi and the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi at the event. Speaking with correspondents afterwards, the President touched on the significance of his visit on national unity.
It's consistent and the true sense of unity in diversity. And I'm greatly honored. We have to continue to work on it. It's a work in progress for the sake of our country and the continent as a whole.
Other members of the delegation also spoke on the symbolism of the visit.
He has shown that this solidarity with the millions of people who are of the Catholic faith in Nigeria by attending this Mass, being himself a Muslim.
What he has gone to show is that all of us Nigerians, either we are Christians or Muslims, we are worshiping the same God. And that by honoring the invitation from the Pope to attend this event is to further show Nigerians that we all belong to the same, we are the same people. We may have different religions, we may have different perspectives about God, but we are worshiping one God. And that's what he has shown by coming to this event.
It changes the perception that Nigeria has this, everlasting sectarian conflict between Christian and Muslim. So it shows that the Vatican, the Papal, can see it fit to invite the president to represent the great country of Nigeria and show the fact that religion, freedom of religion is something that is prevalent and is also recognized by the leadership of Nigeria.
Later in the day, the president met with members of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria who were part of his delegation to Rome. During the meeting, President Tinubu urged Nigerians to use their diversity for the country's stability and rapid development. The president also issued a stirring call to leaders at all levels to work for the betterment of the citizenry. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
The United Nations Human Rights Office, OHCHR, is calling on authorities in Mali to repeal a recent decree that was issued dissolving all political parties and organizations of a political nature in the country. Saif Magango, OHCHR's spokesperson, says the office is alarmed by laws recently adopted in Mali which risk silencing dissent and deepening wider human rights concerns in the country. On May the 13th, Mali's transitional president, Assimi Goïta, issued a decree banning all political activities. He also signed into law a repeal of previous laws that governed political parties and that provided protections to them.
We are alarmed by laws recently adopted in Mali, which risk silencing dissent and deepening wider human rights concerns in the country. The transitional president on 13 May issued a decree dissolving all political parties and organizations of a political nature. He also signed into law a repeal of previous laws that govern political parties and that provided protections to them. We call on the transitional president to repeal this draconian decree. The transitional authorities must also release all individuals who have been arrested on politically motivated grounds. They must also fully restore political rights in the country. According to credible sources, documented human rights violations and abuses in Mali have increased by almost 120% between 2023 and 2024. These setbacks come at a time when Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, Islamic State, Sahel Province, and other armed groups continue to attack, kill, and abduct civilians, and to subject women and girls to sexual and gender-based violence, including rape and forced marriage. Malian armed forces, allegedly accompanied by foreign military personnel, commonly known either as Wagner or as Africa Corps, have also reportedly summarily executed dozens of people last month in Sebagougou in the southwestern Keys region. We call on the Malian authorities to ensure that multiple investigations they have announced into these attacks and killings are conducted in a timely manner, and that those found responsible are brought to justice in trials that meet Mali's international human rights obligations.
Tanzania's main opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, has appeared in court for the first time since his arrest on treason charges last month, telling his supporters not to fear. Tension was high in the country's biggest city, Dar es Salaam, this morning, with security officers heavily deployed at the trial magistrates' court and elsewhere. The court had previously attempted to conduct hearings virtually, but he and the legal team opposed this, citing the need for transparency and due process. The Chadema party leader was arrested in April following his rallying call for no reforms, no election, telling supporters that the general elections due in October should not go ahead unless there are electoral reforms. He was charged with treason and publishing false information online, which allegedly incited rebellion, and accused police of electoral misconduct, but he denies the charges. If he is convicted, he could face the death penalty. In the meantime, leading Kenyan lawyer and the country's former Justice Minister Martha Karua has arrived Kenya after being deported from Tanzania to prevent her from attending the court case of Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu. 2 colleagues accompanying her were also reportedly detained and deported after flying in from neighboring Kenya. The former Kenyan Chief Justice Willy Mutunga and other prominent rights activists who later traveled there for the Lissu case were also said to have been stopped and held at the airport as well. Well, Kenya's top foreign affairs official, Corey Singoe, has strongly urged the Tanzanian authorities to release Mutunga and his delegation. Joining us now for more details on this story is Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist. He joins us from Nairobi. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you for your time on the program. Help us understand the reason for, former Justice Minister Martha Karua for her trip to Tanzania.
Well, thank you for me the show. You understand that regionally, the local lawyers have been trying to mobilize in a way to go and help Mr. Lissu to get justice in Tanzania. So Mr. Karua was among the team that was picked up by the East African Law Society to go and try to fight for Lissu to come out either on bail or to fight for justice in general. So that's why she was able to go there. And apart from her, there are officers from officials from the Law Society of Kenya, which is the umbrella body for lawyers in Kenya.
Well, for the Tanzanian authorities, have we heard from any comments from them on, why she was sent back to Nairobi, not being able to achieve her aim?
Actually, we have seen just a few minutes ago, we saw a video where President Suluhu Hassan was speaking, and she was saying that the Kenyan activists who are trying to go to Tanzania, and they are going to destabilize the country. So she instructed the security agencies there not to allow any of those who are out to destabilize her country to be allowed to Tanzania. So probably that shows that the local authorities, or rather the security officials there, fear that the involvement of Kenyan the lawyers and activists may try to kind of steer controversy and protest and establish the country at large. That's why probably they were barred from going. Remember, apart from Ms. Karua, there was also a former Chief Justice called William Mutunga of Kenya. He was also stopped from crossing the border, or rather going through the airport. But an immediate former Chief Justice called David Maraga, him was allowed because he's not an activist. Yeah, and they went to the court to see Mr. Lissu, and they even shook his hand, and they demanded that there be kind of a fast and fair justice against towards Mr. Lissu.
All right. We also understand, other prominent rights activists later traveled, including a former Kenyan Chief Justice, Willie Mutunga, and we understand they were stopped and they've been held at the airport. What do we know of their status at this time?
Well, the group has been deported back to Kenya. That's Mr. Mutunga and the other group, which were the activists. But we understand there's one activist who has been detained in custody in Tanzania, because probably had some form of confrontation between him and the security officials at the hotel. He refused to open his door when they went to kind of flash him out of the hotel. So the other group, led by Dr. Mutunga, actually arrived in Kenya at 4 p.m. So they are in Kenya currently, but it's only one who's remaining in custody in Tanzania. We hope that we're going to be taken to court, maybe be granted passage when the time arrives.
All right then, Cyrus Umbati, Kenyan journalist, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for coming to the show.
The 37th Commonwealth Health Ministers meeting held over the weekend on the sidelines of the 78th World Health Assembly in Geneva. This was Commonwealth Secretary General Honorable Shirley Ayoko Botchway's first ministerial meeting since taking office on the 1st of April 2025. Secretary General Botchway joined global health leaders, senior government officials from health ministries across the Commonwealth and also development partners to discuss how the Commonwealth can build momentum around investment to address shocks to health systems in its member countries representing 2.7 billion people. The Commonwealth Health Ministers meeting was chaired by the Lesotho Minister for Health, Selibe Mochomborane, under the theme Investing in Health, Sustainable Financing for an Equitable Commonwealth.
Not only my first time joining you as Commonwealth Secretary General, it is my first ministerial meeting since taking office. That is centers on health, the most essential of all human needs, feels both symbolic and important. We have seen real progress. Public health investment has grown across the Commonwealth, and lives have been saved as a result. But we also know that this progress is precarious. The latest WHO data captures the rising pressure on health spending. So the question before us is clear. How do we overcome these challenges to go further and faster in building health systems that are sustainable, equitable, and resilient? Three priorities stand out. First, we must shift from short-term fragmented approaches to long-term system-wide investment. Second, we must find new ways to finance health that includes blended finance, social impact bonds, and public-private partnerships. Third, we must change the narrative. Health spending is not a cost. It is an engine of growth.
We are here not simply to exchange ideas, but to confront one of the greatest challenges of our time: how to build health systems that are strong, inclusive, and resilient. Health must no longer be seen as a cost to be contained. It must be recognized as a foundation for human dignity, economic development, and our collective resilience. The Commonwealth, with its remarkable diversity and shared values, offers a unique platform to learn from one another, act in solidarity, and drive progress that leaves no one behind. Lesotho is committed to this mission.
Let us reaffirm our commitment to action The focus of this meeting must not be on mere rhetoric, but on concrete steps and tangible outcomes. We must move beyond talking and into action, translating our discussions into policies, investments, and initiatives that strengthen financial sustainability of our health systems and improve the health and the well-being of our populations.
And that's it on the program for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olande.